Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We're reading in Srimad Bhagavatam about the passing away of Bhishmadev. We're on text 17. Tasmadidam Daivatantram Vyavasya Bharatarshapha Tasyanu Nyata Nata Pahi Prajak Prabho Tasmadidam Daivatantram Vyavasya Bharatarshapha Tasyanu Vihityo Nata Nata Pahi Prajak Prabho. Please chant.
Tasmadidam Daivatantram Tasmadidam Daivatantram Vyavasya Bharatarshava Tasyanu Vihito Nata Nata Pahi Prajak Prabho Tasmadidam Daivatantram Tasmadidam Daivatantram
Tasmat. Therefore, idam, this, Daivatantram, enchantment of providence only, Vyavasya, ascertaining, Bharat Rishabha, O best among the descendants of Bharat, Tasya, by him, Anuvihitaha, as desired, Anataha, helpless, Nata, oh Master, Pahi, just take care of, Prajaha, of the subjects, Prabhu, O Lord. Translation purport by His Divine Grace, Srila Prabhupada. O best among the descendants of Bharat, Yudhisthira, I maintain, therefore, that all this is within the plan of the Lord. Accepting the inconceivable plan of the Lord, you must follow it. You are now the appointed administrative head, and my Lord, you should now take care of those subjects who are now rendered helpless. Purport. The proper saying is that a housewife teaches the daughter-in-law by teaching the daughter. Similarly, the Lord teaches the world by teaching the devotee. The devotee does not have to learn anything new from the Lord, because the Lord teaches the sincere devotee always from within. Whenever, therefore, a show is made to teach the devotee, as in the case of the teachings of Bhagavad Gita, it is for teaching the less intelligent men. A devotee's duty, therefore, is to ungrudgingly accept tribulations from the Lord as a benediction. The Pandavas were advised by Bhishma Dev to accept the responsibility of administration without hesitation. The poor subjects were without protection due to the battle of Kurukshetra, and they were awaiting the assumption of power by Maharaj Yudhisthira. A pure devotee of the Lord accepts tribulations as favors from the Lord. Since the Lord is absolute, there is no mundane difference between the two. So we're going to get some excellent instructions from Bhishma Dev that he will be giving to Yudhisthira. And as is described here, he's giving it to the whole world. And hopefully we can listen attentively and apply it somehow in our lives. It is the saying said that you can learn something from everyone. True. I find no matter who gives class or who you speak to during the day, you can learn something from them all the time. But here you can also see that you can learn everything from the Mahajans. They're an ocean of knowledge. And we should listen very attentively to some of this transcendental knowledge that he's giving to Maharaj Yudhisthira. He's telling them, frankly, that you have to take over this position that Krishna has arranged. The whole plan has been there from the beginning by Krishna. And no matter what, whether you like it or not, you got to take up the rule of the world. Not an easy thing to accept. So all the great sages are there and demigods and everything to witness the passing of this great Mahajan and to also receive the instructions. So we should also magnetize ourselves to these instructions that we get from all these Mahajans as we open these pages and we begin to meet all these personalities. We're just in the first canto, and how many great personalities are we going to meet? So many. And so much knowledge is there. So it's actually an exciting thing to take part in this study and try to give it to others also so they can realize what they're missing. So it's not easy, like Shesha Prabhu said yesterday, to know the plan of the Lord. It's very difficult. Although here it's hinting that for a pure devotee, Krishna reveals so many things to him. But here Bhishma Dev is being the pure devotee. He's saying, yes, that was Krishna's plan, and I authorize it too. I stamp it. Yes, this is Krishna's plan. You have to follow it. So Krishna wants some order in the court. He wants some religiosity back into the society so that everyone can be peaceful. And he's ordained the Pandavas and especially Yudhisthira to take that part. But we know, I think it's described, I'm not sure where in the Bhagavatam, that a person who has dependence gets 1/6 of the karma of those persons. So Yudhisthira, I'm sure, is not real excited to gain all that karma. He's already experienced distress. He already explained that I feel really bad about what I did. I killed all these people. And he's already feeling the reaction from doing this. But Yudhisthira Maharaj is telling him that this is beyond your feelings, beyond your mental comprehension. This is the plan of the Lord. And so therefore you have to take it up. Once upon a time I saw this. It was a movie, I think we saw it with the ashram. It was about, from a true story where some soccer players were on their way probably to Brazil or something like that, and their plane crashed. It was called Five Alive. Anyone ever see it? Anyway, it actually happened that the plane crashed and they were on an island. These young boys, they were teenagers, something like that. And immediately they realized they're stuck. But they said, okay, they realized that they needed a leader. it's the nature of someone, especially someone who's dependent. Here, these people are all stranded. They had to make a leader. Unfortunately, they had two opposing parties, and it ended up that they fought each other almost to death. But you can see that in the nature, Bhishma Dev is saying these people are in need, so therefore you have to take up this position. In the Vedic culture, it's essential that there is not only a leader, but a spiritual leader. And Krishna is trying to arrange that. And we see that it's true that we are existing in a situation in the material world now where there are no kshatriyas in the government. There's no Brahminical leaders to help them. And it's a big mess. And no one is feeling comfortable and no one's feeling protected because it's run by Sudras. Any Sudra can take the power and run this entire country. So the Vedic culture was there to put someone, a Rajarshi, someone who's godlike, in charge of the society. And therefore there could be some organization, some little bit of sanity and a little bit of happiness. But if you study the history now, in the recent history actually, in my lifetime, I can think of different countries throughout the world that weren't happy with their leaders, and they decided to get rid of them, to oust them, to a coup d'etat or something like that, to get rid of them. But at the same time, they didn't have their own administration together, so therefore when the leader was out, they came in and they realized that we need help, and so they would get other countries to come in and help them. And it was not a good situation. So here, Yudhishthira is trying to arrange, okay, that those people are out, now let's put the best person in there. And that is really what needs to be done. We see many countries aren't satisfied with their leaders today. Every single day on the newspaper, you can see boats of people leaving their country in perilous waters, getting, killed, trying to go somewhere else to find a different leader, something where they'd be more satisfied. So it's a very topsy-turvy world without a head on its shoulders, without a Brahminical caste, and without arms to protect. So there's a story even within our Vedic teachings of a situation that was very similar. A very demoniac person was in charge, King Vena. He rotten to the core, nothing good about him at all. But he took up the position. He was given the position of king by default, and the Brahmins came and they tried to talk him some sense into him and said, this is not the way you run a country. You're all these demonic principles. The people are not happy. Everything's going to hell. So they tried to convince him, but he said, I know what I'm doing. You should all worship me. These Brahmins are worthless, and he tried to get rid of everyone. But the Brahmins, they decided that we have to do something. We have to kill him. But the problem is, killing him, then the rogues and the thieves, then they really go wild. They say, oh, whoop-de-doo. No, the cat's gone, the mouse will play. So what to do? So they got this mantra together, and they said, this is an emergency. Although Brahmins don't take this position of killing, we have to do something. And they killed King Vena. But immediately they had to do something. They had to get another person in charge. So, to avoid all the election traumas that we have these days, of throwing ballots in the river and putting down the post office and the Russians coming in, all these different things to ruin the elections. To get rid of all that, what'd they do? They murmured some mantras and churned his body. That solves all the election problems. All we have to do is do that. Just churn, get our own really nice head of the country, nice president. They got the president and his wife, all came out, Queen Archie and King Prithu, the perfect leader. Wouldn't that be wonderful? No voting, nothing. Just anyway. So that was a wonderful thing that was able to be done. And now another wonderful thing, although it took a lot of lives, but Krishna is establishing King Yudhishthira. So he's saying, you have to do it now. You can't wait. It's an emergency situation. So we see that too. We've had some very traumatic things happen in our lives, and we remember those events in particular. Things that have changed our lives. That, like, if I ask my mother or something, I remember one time she says, "I can remember when they dropped the bomb in Hiroshima." That was something that she remembers what she was doing at that time. Like I can remember exactly when the Twin Towers were bombed, what I was doing when I heard. Maybe all you can too. But the most dramatic thing was when my husband came in and said, "Prabhupada has left." And I remember exactly, I was ironing his clothes. And I go, "Now what?" That was my question. So this is the same situation. Now what? The citizens are without a leader. Now what? But Krishna has it arranged. And so, of course, we went through a lot of rough times after Prabhupada left. But anyway, to avoid any situation like that, Krishna has the Pandavas step in right away. Whether they like to do it or bad, or whether he feels even capable of doing it. He says that even Bhishma is saying that I'm willing to give you good advice, and he does. He gives good advice on how to run the administration. Well, here, Bhishma talks all about Varnashram and all about running institutions. So the devotees' duty, really, as it's described here, is that when tribulations or trials come up, like Yudhishthira is approaching now, even that we can come out successful. There will be trials and tribulations in executing all of our services. None of us have escaped that. There's always been those tests that we have to go through. And we don't always know what the plan is, maybe not for a long time. We realize this happened. Oh yeah, I know why that happened. Because this had to happen and that had to happen, so this would happen. So this was Krishna's arrangement. But the advanced devotee will know right away it's Krishna's arrangement, like Bhishma Dev here, very advanced, because they have been, they have the vision of that is based on a lot of knowledge. It's backed by tons of knowledge. There's a story in the Vedas where such an advanced devotee, he received some news that was very heart-rendering for most people. That this was King Chitraketu. He had already been through a lot of tribulations, but he came out ahead, and he was now visiting somewhere, some party or something going on, and then he saw Parvati and Lord Shiva in a kind of uncomfortable situation for him where she was on his lap. And he said something, and which was, kind of mocking the situation, but it wasn't a heavy thing, it was just kind of light. But Parvati didn't stand for it, and she cursed him. It's a big thing to be cursed by Durga, by Parvati, to have to come back as a demon. But because he was backed by so much knowledge and had that spiritual vision, he could see this is the Lord's arrangement. And he actually started to preach to Parvati and say, "Don't worry about it, now I'm, because Shiva was a little upset that she had taken that position." And he preached her, saying, "Yes, it's just like in a dream. Good things happen, bad things happen, but then you wake up, it's over with. So these things, I come as a demon or whatever, it'll all be over with. I mean, the dream, that lifetime will be done." And so he's preaching like this to her, and then later when he becomes rich Asura, he's so advanced, he preaches to Indra, yeah, come on, kill me, don't worry, I'm not my body, get off the platform, I'm not on this duality platform, I'm anxious, yeah, take me, preaching, and everyone's quite impressed. So we see here we're very impressed with Bhishma, and Yudhishthira also accepts the position. So there is always going to be some discomfort in the process of surrender. But we find that somehow or other, Krishna lessens the burden that we have to go through, that it becomes bearable, and we come out ahead. We always come out ahead. Just think of Bhishma Dev. This is quite a tribulation, being 58 nights on a bed of arrows. Can you imagine? Probably didn't get a lot of sleep. I don't know if any of you were here in this temple room in the reign of Nanda. When she was president, we kind of had out-of-the-box type things going on. And one of them was it was a special day, and they invited all the adults to dress up and have a dress-up contest. So I got into it. And I remember Hashapati, she dressed up like a old-time Sankirtan devotee with 2 books bags on either crossed across her chest and mixed matching socks and the sari pulled over her eyes and everything. And then I dressed up like Bhishma Dev. And I had someone were you there for that? Yeah, I had someone bring me on a platform, and I had made a white outfit with the arrows sticking up, and then and underneath the platform, the arrows sticking through. It looked like I was on a bed of arrows. I think I won first prize. Yes, you did. Anyway, but that was fake, and I was still very uncomfortable. What less being on a bed of arrows for 58 nights. But somehow or other, he's here, he's welcoming everyone to come, and now he's going to give some very important instructions for all of humanity. So Krishna expects us to become transcendental to the good and bad things, to the dualities. This is expected of a devotee. And that means we have to become also very responsible to follow Krishna's instructions, like he's saying, Yudhishthira, you got to be responsible, you got to do this, although it's going to be hard. So this is part of what we're going through. It's said that the wealth of the Brahmins is austerity. So when we see things that happen, we can try to understand them and to, from there, make advancement and become to the point where we can understand everything at every moment is happening by the Lord's mercy. And so Bhishma Dev, he has a situation now where he's giving kind of Brahminical instructions, but he's a Kshatriya. All the Pandavas were born as Kshatriyas, but you also saw them take different positions when they had to, especially during that time of the Virat, when I think Bhima was a cook and Arjuna was a dance teacher. So whatever they had to do, they did during these tribulations. And Srila Prabhupada, he saw that this was a headless society, so he had to even make us try to be Brahmins. And it was like, he said, like washing coal. And many of us not suitable for a Brahmin situation. I mean, I like sweets, that's about as Brahminical as I get, But, we had to do these, positions, and we still, sometimes there's these emergencies, but there is the Varnashram system, which I know when you ever hear those words, Varnashram, we go, oh no, here we go again. It's a big mystery, how do we do it? But you know what? For the next whole part of this chapter, Bhishma Dev, what did he choose to speak about? Varnashram. The duties that we have to perform, what our positions are, and how it is beneficial for all society. But then you say, well, Prabhupada, Lord Chaitanya said no Varnashram, but Prabhupada said yes Varnashram, but sometimes he said no Varnashram. So what do? All I can say is we can hear these instructions and take what we can and try to execute what we can. We are a society of Sudras, pretty much, and even within our movement, it's just said that Sudras work for other people, and we find that most everybody in this room are all have jobs working for the outside community, not within ourselves. So it is a difficulty when we think that we have to, if we were to make a Varnashram society, that we're still dependent on that regular society. So this is a dilemma. We have had an attempt with Varnashram College. I think the closest thing I can think of is the Mayapur Gurukula, where they teach all the different arts. And they teach Kshatriyas, and they teach Brahmins, and they teach the Sudras. They teach all the different classes, which I see we're lacking Bhishma Devs, and we're lacking Pandavas in our movement. We need arms for protection. Just like here, these citizens are they're feeling we need protection immediately. And I too feel this way. I remember when some characters came in the temple one morning. They threw Prabhupada's books on the floor. Then they went in the kitchen. They did a whole thing. Remember that? You weren't here. Anyway, some of us were here. It was very early in the morning. And they were caught. It was a big scene. And no one came forward. No one came up and grabbed that jerks by the head. We had to call, the outside police. But I felt unprotected. And many times I feel unprotected, especially, like for instance, when I was teaching Gurukula, I didn't really encourage the girls to go to college, learn, but all the parents wanted their kids to go to college. And I asked them, I said, why do you have to go to college? Well, their husbands are going to leave them probably, so they have to have something to fall back on. And I go, oh. Even on the micro scale, the protection is not even there within our movement. The old people now, I just put in the mailbox just before I came here, a letter that the great Saint Radha Damodar Prabhu gave me, a posted card that he paid for, and with the address of a devotee who is suffering in Stark with no association, so that I could write something to him so that he would feel close to devotees. He took that out of his own heart to do that, giving him the postcard so that we would write, since we just don't do it on our own. I thought that was such a wonderful thing. And where are the old people going to go? Who's going to take care of me? Who knows? I might not even have a house. Who knows? So the arms aren't there, as far as I can see. We need to fill out our society and be able to embrace all the different persons within society, not push them away because they're different, but bring them in, embrace all different kinds of people, and make it a real society. We call some of the people that we don't especially want on the property crazies and lazies. And but did Maharaj Yudhisthira? He probably had some crazies and lazies in his kingdom. And he had to deal with them. The Kshatriyas deal with them. But they moved. The idea of Varnashram was to move them up closer to Krishna. I'm saying this because recently a worker, a friend of mine, left his body, and he was only allowed on the property so that he could work with me. But tried to embrace him, and try to give him Krishna. So we have to figure out within our society how we can involve everybody, bring them closer to Krishna, not push them away. And so Yudhisthira Maharaj is going to hear some instructions on how to have a real Daivi Varnashram, not just organized, but also divine. How it can be Krishna conscious and elevate everybody. so that we have all the heads, the arms, the legs, everything there, and we don't really have to depend on the crazy things that are going on out there. Anyway, these are some thoughts and maybe some controversial issues, but that's what I think of when I saw this verse. Maybe somebody would like to add something or question something?
I have a question.
Sure.
Just a logic. You narrated the story of King Anga's son. If some devotee has a bad son and he walks out, you think it will be accepted? How come the King Bana's father just walk out? His son is terrible. Forget it. I take sannyas, Haribol.
Yeah, I was pretty amazed when I heard that too. This is too much for me. I'm out of here. I can't deal with him. I don't have an explanation for that.
Okay,
Except that it's the Lord's thing, but it's not usually recommended. You try your hardest to do what you can. I mean, many people in this movement that have second generation kids, we tried as hard as we could. We did the best we could, but
I'm going to do some
casualties.
Because this is a very sensitive thing. Also, another point you mentioned in your class, that outcome ultimately of King Bana's that King Prithu is a perfect leader. That's very nice in a story format. It's very nice. But if I am participating in that lila, I was thinking like, is blind uncle is better than no uncle, or no uncle is better than blind uncle? Why those sages? I'm not accusing, please forgive me those sages, I'm trying to understand this, because Bhagavatam, I'm trying to get into Bhagavatam. Those sages, they are already intelligent, they have so much power that they can, why they elected somebody who is worthless to be a king in the first place?
Well,
King Bana was not a good at all anyway.
But King Anga was okay.
Yeah, but he left. But
yeah,
even
but he inherited it just automatically.
No, he didn't become. They made him.
Well, they were sure they were hoping that
they
something
felt
good
bad.
would happen out of it. But
they felt bad. I said, okay, we did a mistake.
They tried to talk to him. If you read, they really tried to straighten him up.
No, that's true. But before that, they are the one who made him king, and they made him wrong choice. Then they want to dismiss him, kill him.
I don't know what
kill him.
I don't know what the legality of what happens if you see, like even in Thailand, I know recently when their king left, they didn't really like who was automatically going to get the thing, and now they are having some trouble if you read the news, but they kind of had to.
I have an answer to that, Guru.
Yeah. Okay. Good.
I have answers to all questions.
So if we're talking about trying to be close to the Bhagavatam and trying to understand, so as you were talking, as Prangavinda Prabhu was talking, I was thinking, yeah, how come they did not elect somebody else? The tradition is inheritance, okay? So why did they elect Vena? Why didn't they go and find somebody else? One thought came to my mind is like, within our ISKCON movement, if there is some problem or something and we need another leader, would we go out of ISKCON and find another leader? We wouldn't do so. We would just find somebody from here, even not qualified, to be our leader, so to speak, and not think about somebody from out of ISKCON. So that's one thought came to my mind.
I don't agree with that because, not necessarily, I just want to totally way.
Yeah, that's just my thought on it.
Those sages, they are qualified. They are not a dummies or anything. They are qualified. First of all, they have a power to
actually kill and recreate. I mean, so much power they have. So even if it happens to in our society, for an example, I'm not saying they should go outside, but if a person already proven bad, why you want to re-elect him as a future leader?
Because there's nobody else.
No, there is a. Who said?
That's why I guess they didn't.
The whole country has so many other people.
No, it's not that.
I guess we really don't know, because we don't know what,
Okay.
I mean, what do we know what went on during that time, who was qualified, who
I was
wasn't.
trying to relevant to our movement also, because in movement sometimes we do things, and I was just thinking about it, like this is a very, because Prabhupada gave a big purpose that how the leader should be. So I'm trying to apply this how we can improve from that mistake that they did. Something that because Bhagavatam, we're supposed to apply this knowledge in our own life. Then we can get experience knowledge.
Well, I know that Prabhupada said in a purport I read concerning how it's all how any student can come in power, and so what are we supposed to do? And he says, now the only hope is that we can revive the Brahminical culture by chanting Hare Krishna.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. So all we really can do is chant as best we can and try to become qualified and help other people become more qualified, so that things someday might change. So that's the power we have now. Lord Chaitanya gave that power to us. It's the only power we have. We're pretty worthless besides that. Anything else?
Check online. Oh, there are actually. There are some.
Akuti, I was wondering the charades that we did one time at Nata. She had the whole temple divided into 4 groups or something, and whatever. And we did charades with everybody. That was another thing I was remembering.
We did that recently here. We had charades here not too long ago. It was fun.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
For Lord Chaitanya's appearance.
Yeah. Is that it? Oh, something.
You have to see what they're saying. You can scroll up.
Protection and care for elders. This is an issue that deserves our attention. How can this effort be started? There are some thoughts within our temple of how to start this. One of them is to take my house and make it into a care center. But it takes people and money, so anybody who wants to help. But that is, I've been on a team trying to figure out how to take care of the elders so that I could cash in on it when I get older. Yes, on a world basis, I know Prabhupada said that the elders could go to Vrindavan or Mayapur, and I think they do have facilities there. But we need something more local, and it's not easy. I've done a lot of research on it. Very difficult to get permission to do a lot of care. You can do a little care for a few people, but to have a big, rest home thing like that, you're under the fire of the government around here. The Brahmins boffed King Vena only after he demanded they stop their sacrifices to Vishnu and rather worship him as God. This is the only example of regicide. What's that? Within the tradition I am aware of.
What tradition?
Regicide. What word is that? That means killing the king? Uh-huh. That's the only example. Anybody know any other example that they?
Kill the king.
Yeah.
Killing a king?
Yeah. You know of any other in the scripture? I can't think of any.
Well, I mean literally, physically, or like destroy his pride and others.
Because,
Like Ramdas, Prabhupada gives the story of Ramdas and Shivaji. Shivaji is a very famous king in India. And he gave up completely because of Ramdas' humility, and then he became, Prabhupada gives the whole story that how he became a servant. And citizens saw the kings coming. They know the kings, but they did not know the Ramdas. And the next day, Ramdas made the king to carry his begging bowl. And every citizen was like surprised, like, king is begging from us. I mean, what kind of transformation was? So I don't know. That way also he killed the king's his own position. But he became a great Vaishnava. Prabhupada was glorifying that, how Shivaji was very great Vaishnava because of his Guru Ramdas' mercy. So I don't know if that considered kill. Because we take the devotional killing means that you kill the anarthas all.
Yeah, so I guess if you demand worship of yourself as God, you better watch out. You're worthy of being killed. You're being worthy of being killed.
Did you read all of them, Mother?
Yeah.
SDM, the Brahmana, Bhakti, King,
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, thank you, Hare Krishna. Glorious Prabhupada.